All right, welcome back everybody and greetings. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope everybody has their caffeine still going. We're on our 5th panel today as part of our 2nd annual cybersecurity review. This one's been amazing, by the way. Thank you so much to the panelists who have come on. We've had such an incredible view so far. I feel like we're at 540 degrees at this point of our 360-degree view going round and round. But system integrator view, the CISO view, the Wall Street view, the venture capital view, Nadav and Bob and Berto were amazing, giving us views of what's getting started and what's happening in the industry. Really, really appreciate it. This panel I was really looking forward to. Kelly Bissell's on the line and BJ Jenkins. Turn on your cameras if you would, guys, for me. I gotta see you. Kelly, good to see you. What? That's a white beard now. Is that dyed for Santa? Come on, I gotta tease you.
Hey, don't you know, Dave, if you're in the cyber world, you're gonna look like this sooner or later. So
yeah, I do know that very well. Kelly, thank you for joining. BJ, good to see you.
Hey, Dave.
Well. Oh my gosh, my friend, it's been a while to see you. My gosh, congratulations on your amazing career. Where are you calling in from, BJ?
I am at our headquarters in Santa Clara, so great to see both of you. And Kelly, I was going to say the move to Accenture to Microsoft may have drawn some of the gray in there too, since the last time I saw you.
You're right, BJ. It's good to see you again.
Oh my God, my friends. I love you guys. It's been a long career together. Kelly, maybe start with you. Just introduce yourself. I think a lot of people know you already, but I know you're a 30-year cyber veteran as well. Give a little background in your current role.
Yeah, it's, been here for a long time, just like you, Dave, and BJ and a bunch of others. It was great seeing Nadav and that whole crew before this. But look, I've been in this cyber game when it comes to really solving the problems that customers' environments and responding to cyber attacks, whether it's a government agency or it's a commercial company. And so I've done that for a couple of decades in, as far as the real world as a CISO, but also as a system integrator. But now I'm at Microsoft, where I'm trying to resolve how do we drive better products and a platform and solve global problems at that scale. So I'm excited about being about Microsoft, but also being part of this journey here in this game of cyber.
Kelly, where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from my attic, and there's Hank over there in the bed, so you might be able to see him, but I'm calling in from my attic, but and then I'll be in the office tomorrow.
I thought that might have been like a fake dog over in the corner. He hasn't moved once yet, so it must be.
That's Hank.
That's Hank. Okay, got it. BJ, introduce yourself as well. I know you've had an amazing career, Barracuda, but back with me at EMC as well. Yeah. So tell a little of your career.
Yeah, I actually started my career, I'm old enough, Dave, at what was then Accenture. Well, now Accenture. It was Anderson Consulting when I started. So that'll date me. But 15 years at EMC, where you and I had the pleasure of meeting, and I got the chance to work for you for a brief period. And then 9 years as CEO of Barracuda Networks. And then almost 18 months ago, came over to Palo Alto. I think Kelly articulated it well, where I think there's an opportunity on a broader basis to serve our customers around the world with a more holistic approach. So it's been a great journey for me, and pleasure to be here and see both of you today.
BJ, I think it was me working for you. I can't remember which way that was at EMC, but by the way, you taught me a lot about marketing and sales, and my experience at EMC was an incredible one. I thought nothing I could have ever gotten elsewhere but that company, and my regards to Joe Tucci and everyone there along the way. Let's talk a little bit. One of the themes I've had, and you might have been hearing this for the last couple of panels, is there's these pendulums that go on, kind of best of breed, the best of suite. The Wall Street community talked about it. The system integrators, this word complexity to simplicity was a common theme across just about everyone's words, maybe even number one. How do I create less complexity going into 2023? Too many vendors, too many things. Microsoft's had an incredible run. Palo Alto, incredible run. Just really interesting to watch your guys' strategies. Kelly, maybe start with you for a second. How do you see the market? I know you're going to be kind and, best of breed too, but this is a 15+ billion a year cyber business at Microsoft. After Q2, it's growing 45%. I mean, when you look at an absolute basis, what Palo Alto and Microsoft are growing, and I take the next 6,800 cyber companies, they don't add up to what you're growing in a quarter. So it's just really interesting to me to watch that trend. Kelly, talk a little bit about that and from your perspective, what you see.
Yeah, Dave, I think this is just a natural evolution of the market, because it used to be that the CISO would have a blank check. I mean, we've used that term before, but no more. And if they have to secure a more complex environment than ever before, and they need to do it as a good steward, they need to simplify this environment so they can actually see these complex attacks as they're happening. So what BJ is doing at Palo Alto Networks, I really like, and what Microsoft's doing to actually make that more simple and to drive a better cost approach, if you will, to the customer. That's what they need. And that's where we're going.
I can't agree more with you, Kelly, and congrats on all the things Microsoft's doing. By the way, you and I talked on that panel a while back, and to watch Microsoft, the culture, the strategy, the people they've hired, you and Charlie and the team, Chris Young, everybody, the process thank you. From a Village point of view, it's been fun to watch you guys working, and wish you all the best. BJ, Palo Alto's had an incredible transformation as well, right? I mean, I know this from, you know this from Barracuda as well. I mean, moving to the cloud isn't a simple thing as well. You've had an incredible channel approach. Talk a little bit about Palo Alto's strategy and what you're seeing there. And to me, it's just amazing how well you and Nikesh are working together and pushing this business and driving results.
Yeah, look, I think it's more I've been a beneficiary of the moves Nikesh, Lee, Nir, the entire team have made over the last 4.5 years, from the next generation firewall into more of a platform approach. And look, I think it's getting market acceptance, because when you look out there as an industry, as we've built all these best of breed solutions, we have basically as an industry forced the customers to integrate. We just never did it on our own. We kept moving on to the next big thing, and we left that integration mess for the customer. And in many ways, that's driving some of this talent gap that we'll talk about. But then, you put a pandemic on top of it, where your entire notion of where your workforce is and how they're going to operate gets changed overnight. You add in the mix of acceleration of the cloud platform providers and providing scale and resiliency and nimbleness to this. And then you have a growing threat vector, and that's a cocktail mix that demands that customers change the way they're operating. They just can't keep doing it the way they did before. And as an industry, I think that puts the onus on us, A, to find more talent, but B, to bring a more integrated solution to those customers, to take complexity out, make it easier for them to be secure.
Yeah, it's been very impressive. I know I covered Palo Alto as well. I mean, I forget what your exact results were, but I'll be very close. I mean, it was like 2.68 billion of ARR growing at 61%. I mean, that absolute basis and how fast it's growing, the land and expand strategy, the also premise-based solution selling really surprised me as well, in addition to the cloud, and you were in perfect position. Any comment on that real quick?
Yeah, look, I think every customer I talk to is in a state of transformation, and it involves all of those elements. There are very few customers I deal with today who are 100% cloud. They have to deal with legacy applications. They have to deal with legacy infrastructure. They have a plan over time to move, but that doesn't mean you can't be secure with those things today. And so there's a connectedness to all of that we recognize, and I think have been able to take advantage of in helping our customers make that transition. But yeah, every customer has some elements of those that they have to deal with today. Again, to date myself, I started programming on a mainframe computer, and I can probably retire doing that still today, Dave, because I still run into them everywhere.
That Fortran or COBOL? Which one was it?
COBOL. I was a COBOL expert. There we go. But they're still there. You have to help customers with all element. They can't be secure in one area and leave the other behind and be insecure. They're all points of vulnerability for them.
Kelly and BJ, you are two of the best leaders that I've ever met. And I mean that sincerely, right? You know, CEOs, leaders, compassion, you know, make your workplace fun, learning, money, all whatever order you want to make it. But people want to work for the two of you. But I want to transition and talk about talent today, because when you look at the cyber marketplace, I don't know, it's a couple million jobs available. You know, somebody earlier said, Fatima Bellini from Citi, we have a zero unemployment in cyber, right? You know, like there's too many jobs. So Kelly, maybe to you, what kind of talent programs, what do you see as a talent problem right now? And what's Microsoft doing? And I know you're doing a lot about it. Talk a little bit about that.
Look, I'm one of these contrarians. I actually don't think we have a talent problem. I think we're looking in the wrong places. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people still go hire the same computer science person like me, you know, from Carnegie Mellon or USC or UCLA or UT Austin or wherever. But I actually think that we have to really change the way we think about hiring. And so I think if we're a pharma company, we got to go hire someone that knows about clinical trials. We can teach them cyber. Or if you're a bank, mortgage processing or loans, mortgages, because they know where the fraud happens. And so I think it's important for us to bring that industry lens into the equation. The second thing I'll say, Dave, is, and this is where Microsoft has done a really good job of supporting alternative education functions like community colleges or these boot camps. Because in fact, or historically Black colleges and universities, which is really critical, because the more diverse workforce we get, the better solutions we're going to come up with for our customers. And that's how I think, you know, those things combined is why I don't think we have a talent gap. I just think we're really not changing the way we recruit and hire people. And Hank agrees with me too. Wait now, finally.
We'll Hank up on that comment for sure. I want you both to talk about, you know, BJ, you also from a talent point of view, and how global has it become too? I mean, America, like for a guy who's working with the White House a lot, we've been trying to like keep jobs in America a little bit, because, you know, globalization created opportunities, especially for Microsoft and Palo Alto, to hire anywhere in the world, right? I mean, India, one place, but anywhere you want to go, you know, and you said it well, Kelly. I felt like our university education systems are pretty broken in the United States when it comes to cyber education. We don't have good programs. The community colleges, the Black colleges, even the K through 12, there's not much literacy going on there. You know, BJ, what's your view on all of that?
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to say it. I think of it from a business perspective. We're trying to expand the TAM of talent, Dave, and it's there. Right, it's there. We just have to go do the things to go reach those folks. And I think companies like Microsoft, Palo Alto, NightDragon, we're all aligned in that vision of getting after that TAM. And I think Dave, the program, we kicked off with you and some other companies around next gen cyber talent, funding scholarships and community colleges. We have a partnership with Girl Scouts of America. We have cybersecurity badges, 300,000 badges. So that's an awareness activity. We have Cyber Aces, which is global and actually originated for us out of JPAC, where we're teaching kids 5 to 15 years old how to protect themselves, awareness. So I think this is all gonna, we're making the investments, as you've talked about, that you're gonna start to see the payoff come. And there's many more programs like that. I could spend the whole time going through them, but we're raising awareness about the industry and things how you can be a part of it. That increases the TAM. Then we've got to bring them in through recruiting, support, training. And I think we'll close this gap. I really do. I think we're making the right investments now to make that happen.
I'm so passionate about this area. I think you guys know, I've done some philanthropic fundraising drives. I've done as much education from the president on down as I can, just because I believe that, America and our allies, it's going to come down to the talent. And, you can't replace the humans part of this, right? Technology can only go so far. So we need systemic programs. So I love the Girl Scouts of America thing. We've been trying to build marketplaces and talent automations as best we can, either through charitable ways or through technology ways for profit. We've got to fix this area. It isn't just employment, it's also literacy. And Kelly, to you for a minute, I believe that cyber literacy still is one of the biggest problems we have in cyber, right? Because you click on the wrong link and we don't have like education for the masses, not just the jobs, but we need higher literacy in this space. Do you agree? And what's Microsoft doing about some of that?
I agree. It's literacy at multiple levels. It's at the board level still, but also at, senior management and the regular staff as well. And I think it does start at high school and even younger. So whenever they can pick up a device. So what I love what BJ's talking about as far as Girl Scouts and some other things, because the earlier we catch them in these native internet folks, the better we'll create the right awareness and habits. So Microsoft is, we're investing in areas across the board, from the boardroom all the way down, so that we can do our part and really lead in this area to improve the literacy of cyber for all. That's really what we're here for.
I always thought that we should have almost the Sarbanes-Oxley, like SOX-like control on literacy. I have 302, 406 on stamps on my arm around accounting. 404 rather. And thank you. It was New Year's. Somehow I threw that number off. And what's amazing is like one of our control points isn't literacy. So I always thought that's a big area. Guys, I want to transition for a minute because Microsoft's view in the cyber world and Palo Alto's are unprecedented, your views on it. Talk a little bit about going into 2023. Do you see some big trend areas? Like what areas of tech or things, services, managed services? Kelly, start with you for a second. What do you see? Give me two things that you see as big things in 2023.
Yeah, I think there are two big things that I see. One is, I think reg is going to catch up. I mean, as you know, Dave, SEC has been talking about this for quite some time. How do we get actually board, awareness of cyber with public companies? So that's going to keep pushing, I believe, and other regulations. And I think the second thing is there's a transformation underfoot around managed service. I think both on two sides, the companies themselves that need managed service have woken up the fact that they can't always do it by themselves and they need a partner. But on the other side, the traditional MSSP is not as valuable to our customers. They need it. They need people with depth and industry expertise so they can solve their company risks. And so those two things are happening right now. Reg's going to keep pushing, but also the transformation or evolution in the MSSP market.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, Kelly. The biggest consolidation area in 2022 from an M&A point of view was managed security service. And many of the Wall Street community agree that, simplicity involves better managed security services. So I want to hear from you, BJ. You run a pretty big sales force and have a lot of view on this too. Give me two areas from your perspective that you see red hot in 2023.
Yeah, look, let's just give my 100% endorsement and vote to what Kelly and you just said around managed services and the impact in the business. The two that are top of mind for me is still probably securing the workforce and how they work. I think people thought it was a pandemic and then they went distributed and then boom, we're done. It is still chaotic for every customer trying to understand where and how people are going to work and then how they need to secure them. And I have not met with a customer who isn't trying to re-architect or rebuild their security architecture to deal with the workplace transformation. So that would be number one. The second to me is recent, and the flurry of activity around AI and chat GPT and the impact it can have on the business. My morning read today was a couple of the email companies, talking about how they were using it just to build phishing emails. What's the best phishing email I can have? And boom, there it came. But this impact of, artificial intelligence, machine learning, voice processing, I think is going to have a huge, huge impact on on both the threat side and what threat actors do, but then how we have to defend ourselves. And I think on your earlier panel, they were talking about how fast things move. The velocity since this has been launched to, noise and activity has been incredible. And I think it's going to have a huge impact over the next couple of years on our industry.
By the way, I'm heading to CES in a day or two, and the fact that you could say GPT-3, which is now becoming GPT-4, yes, as you might know, is pretty impressive. Glad to see you keeping up on that. And by the way, AI Open's a pretty hot company. If you're not familiar with them, some of the technology they're using and capabilities where now you're going to see next generation chat capability that makes humans we're going to be in a whole new bot world, in my opinion, in that, and then a whole new spear phishing world as well. Give me two verticals, if you would, both from your perspectives. Kelly, you first. What are the hottest industry sectors that you both see in 2023?
I think hands down, manufacturing. It's the area that we need the most help, and it's the one that needs to improve if we're going to have a safe United States.
And is that because of supply chain, both discrete and process, or are you just thinking?
I think two main reasons. There's, as we know, that supply chain is going to be disrupted across the board for everyone. But with disruption comes opportunity for bad things to happen, as you know. So that's going to happen. Plus, we got to correct some tech debt in the OT world and make that safer. So I think I would say manufacturing is number one. And I think still, when it comes to oil and gas or the utilities as a whole, is also similar in a similar game.
And Kelly, you mentioned OT, which I've heard in every panel at this point, 4 or 5% penetrated, 95% to go, regulation coming in this way, threat coming in this way. I mean, do you see ICS-OT as a big sector?
I think it's a huge sector, and it's something that we've got to get right, because that is where, it's one thing if somebody copies corporate data. It's another thing if a plant is down or safety controls are taken off of boiler systems and other things. So we got to get that right. And so I believe that requires a great deal of thought and effort. And we're talking about legacy stuff, not even on-prem legacy stuff like COBOL, like we were talking about with BJ, right? But 20, 30, 40-year-old equipment that never really had security in mind when they built it. So we got a lot of work to do in this space.
One of the biggest epiphanies I've had after tracking this OT space for a number of years was just the visibility matters there. You don't realize how is unair gapped the word, or non-air gapped, and then also in your OT and ICS control systems, how much they call out to the internet. So those vulnerabilities are yet to really been discovered. And I know the US CERT's been working hard at some of that, but to your point, 20, 30, 4 years, security by obscurity is no longer the case in that area of the sector. BJ, bring us home for a minute. What couple areas do you see, vertically that are like, wow, these two verticals are big?
Yeah, I'd agree with yours and Kelly's comment, and just add in that OT perspective, medical. There's a lack of standardization, equipment ranging in age, 40 years to modern. You look at how they operate, it's very hard to secure, and certainly another, in addition to utilities and manufacturing, new areas that need to be protected. I think the other one for us still continues to be government, but state and local and education systems around the world need to continue to invest. They've been easier targets for things like ransomware, and we have to help those areas. Those companies are, obviously governments get more secure. So that's the other area I'd point out in addition to the two you pointed.
I can't agree more with you on the state and local side. Federal has always been an incredible and growing spending area, disproportionate to every other vertical, in my opinion, and governments all over the world. But state and local governments, not just in the US, but around the world, who have been incredibly vulnerable to ransomware attacks, particularly, is an area that I think, my personal view, can become a 10, 15, 20% of the world's cyber spend that you won't really count in what you think of government, and it's coming.
Yeah.
And so I look at that space. Kelly, you were going to say something?
Yeah, Dave, you're totally right. You and BJ, because that's almost a perfect storm, state government, because it's sort of not funded well, but also they have a talent gap. They can't even pay to attract the right talent. So it's a complicated problem with state government that we've got to tackle together. I mean, and I think I know Palo's after that to serve that market, and so is Microsoft and others. So we've got to really join forces and solve this problem.
Kelly and BJ, thank you. Happy New Year to you both, my friends. Good to see you both.
You too.
And I'll work on my beard next time, Kelly, and I'm sure it'll be just as white for you. So we'll get it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys coming on, and love you. Take care. Best of luck in 2023.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Care.
See you. Good luck to Kimba. Kimba's going to be awesome next. I mean, I'm excited to hear from Kimba.
Bye, Hank. We'll talk to you later as well. All right, we're going to take a 1-minute break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes or 1 minute and for our last session. Thank you so much. Hold on a minute.